Welcome. I'm going to show you how to take accurate measurements of your own body. Now, sometimes this can be a little bit easier to have somebody do it with you or for you, but it'll be the same principles. So let's get to it. The first measurement that I want you to take is around your belly button. Now, I'm going to show you using two different measuring tapes. These Seeker measuring tapes are fantastic. You may be getting one as part of your package. If you are, we'll be sending that out to you, but I'll also show you how to use a normal measuring tape that's a dressmaker's measuring tape. So what you want to do is you want to take the measurement over your belly button. So my belly button is right there. So I'm going to want to measure, I'm going to want to use a mirror or my phone to make sure that this isn't sitting down or up at the back, that it's going around and that it's right on top of my belly button. So I'm measuring right on top of my belly button and it's even there. So we see, and then if I'm using one of these Seeker measuring tapes, I just look at where it closes. So I take the little measurement right there. So I'm seeing 72 there. You disregard my measurements. I've been on metabolic balance for 6 months, yeah? So that's how you're doing that. If you're using just a standard measuring tape, one of these babies, yeah? So you're just getting the measuring tape, you're bringing it around, and what you do is just flatten this across here, and then you can easily move the top little bit over the top. Make it nice and snug, not loose. And you can see that I'm not wearing bulky clothing. I've just got something light on. That's where my belly button is. And I just wriggle that over. And I've got a very similar measurement there. So and I'm measuring where this ends. So, that's our belly button or navel measurement. Now, the next measurement that I want you to take is your hips. So to measure your hips, I'm just going to go back a little bit. Let's make you a little bit on an angle here so you can see it more easily. So you're going to be measuring, the easiest way is to have a little bit of a wriggle around here and find where your hip bones are. And mine sort of go like up like that. So you're going to take that down with that sort of where you can feel the hip bone until you can feel it's sort of, they flatten out at the front. That's a great place to take a measurement from. But you might also be like, well, that's one place, but actually if you notice I'm a little bit wider here, that's my widest point. So it's also totally fine to go right, that's where I'm going to take a measurement from. We want to make this replicatable. So what I'm going to ask you to do is measure where on the floor. So I'm going to measure just at the top of my pockets here. And if you've got a really nice straight, measurement, what you can do is you just drop it down. Let's see if we can do it so you can actually see what I'm doing. So you just drop it down to the ground there and measure, so it's 78 centimeters. Now, if yours is a little bit wiggly or bent, what you can do is put your foot on it and make sure you bring that up so your edge of your foot's on the 10 centimeters. And then if you bring it up here, my top of my pockets comes at 88, remembering I'm standing on 10 centimeters of it, so that would be 78. So if I'm going to take a hip measurement at 78, I measure that up and then I just go around and again I make it nice and snug against myself and I put the end of the measuring tape on the top, lay it down, and I've got 93 there. If you're using one of the Seekers, it's just going around, clipping it in and then cinching it in. Just makes the cinching, and I've got 92.5. So very, very similar measurements, and I've just used either method They're both effective. So we've done our hips, we've done our belly button, we've done our hips. The next one is to do the thigh measurement. Now, the reason that measuring is important is not is to know what's happening, but also to know what sort of body type do you have, what ratios of protein to carbohydrate should you be eating. Because people that have they don't have hips, they have very much more straight up and down, have a particular protein to carbohydrate need. People that are very curvy have another protein to carbohydrate need. And so this is in part simply so that we can get your macros, carbohydrates and proteins, correct for your metabolism, so that you can be making as much energy, having as much good sleep, having your skin as good as you possibly can. So if we're going to do a thigh, what we do, let's do it with this one first. What we're going to do is we're going to work out, I've worn a skirt, which is a little bit unfortunate, but you're actually wanting to measure the thigh around about here. So what you're wanting to do is come in near the top of the thigh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure down from my pocket here, and I'm going to measure at about 66 centimetres from the ground, or maybe 65 centimetres from the ground. So you just come in, measure at that point, again, wrap around, leave the top one over so that you can see what your measurement is. So that's about roughly 3/4 up your thigh. When you're taking your measurements, what you need to be doing is writing down both, and you get the form from us, and what we're wanting you to do is write down both the measurement around the thigh, and then also make a record of how far up you're measuring that. Because what we want to be able to do is in a few weeks or a few months, we want to be able to do these measurements again and understand the changes that are happening in your body. It's so important, because I get so many people where they feel that they've stalled on their journey. They're like, I'm not seeing any difference in the scales, what's going on? But actually what they're seeing is their body is actually losing fat and gaining muscle, but the weight's not changing. And this is because muscle weighs a lot more than fat. So we see the change in the centimetres, and it can be really reassuring in a time where you feel that your body's not changing, that you actually can see that it is. So we've done the navel, we've done the hips, we've done the thigh. Now, this is a really important one, and this is the belly either above or below the navel. So I've been on eating my metabolic balance foods now for over 6 months, and I don't have a belly under or over my navel. It's sort of all nice and congruent for me at the moment. It wasn't like that when I started. But for me, what happened was I had like a little belly down here, a little belly that popped out. If you've got a little belly that pops out underneath, then what you're going to do is you're going to measure around, find the point at which your little belly underneath is popping out the most, measure it, remembering just using the same principles of having the measuring tape sitting on top so you can accurately measure where it's going to. And then what you're going to do is you're going to say, oh, okay, so where I was measuring is actually 8 centimetres down from my navel, and you make a note of that 8 centimetres down. You might find that actually it's really above my belly button that I'm carrying the weight that I'd like to move. If that is, then you're wanting to measure up here, and then you're wanting to go how many centimetres up from my belly button is that. If you are a person, and I do have quite a few people that are actually working to gain weight, because ironically it can be just as hard to gain weight as it can be to lose weight for some people. you might feel that you're particularly skinny in particular areas, and that's where you really want to be putting on a bit of muscle. So again, measure those areas, and this enables us to see what is your body doing, how is it distributing the resources, the fuel. So our next measurement is going to be our bicep. So I've got a few tricks on measuring biceps. So where you're wanting to measure is sort of, it's up to you, but you might go, oh, that's the highest point in my muscle, I'm going to measure there, for example. Or you might be like, well, actually, up here is more the area that I get concerned about. If you're measuring high on the arm, I'm going to ask you to do 2 measurements. I'm going to ask you to do a high bicep and a mid bicep measurement, because sometimes this one won't change, but this one will, or vice versa. So, but I will generally do a measurement right just across here at this high point where where the muscle, this bicep muscle here is at its peak. The trick for doing this, because it can be a bit fiddly, is to let the tape fall over and to wriggle your hand down, and then you can easily collect that tape on the other side and then bring it up and just have a little look-see there at where it's going around to. Now, again, we want to be able to replicate this. So if you did it mid-muscle, then what you're wanting to do is just spread that tape down your arm and have a look at how far it is between the middle of your elbow. So bend your elbow up, and then you can see it's about 11 centimeters for me, maybe 10 to 11. Now, another really good measurement is the neck. So take your neck and you're wanting to hit it right in the middle. So take the neck. The trick here, if you don't have a mirror to hand or your eyesight's not quite, so just make sure it's not, you don't want it too tight, you don't want it too loose, you just want it snug. And what you do is you just put your finger next to where the metal bit would end, and then you can see that my neck's about 32 centimeters. Now, the chest or bust is another one that you can do. You don't have to do, this is not an essential measurement. The only essential measurements that we have to have are the navel, the hips and the thigh and the bicep. But I find the neck can be really helpful, and the bust can be really helpful just to understand what is the body doing. So if you're going to do a bust measurement, it's a good idea to note down something about, if you're a bra wearer, something about the bra that you wear so that you can wear the same one each time. But essentially what we're doing is we're just taking a measurement, and whether you've got a bust or a chest, doesn't matter, it's the same thing. Put the measuring tape under the arms, and then you're just going across the center of the chest, across the nipples. So that gives you your guiding point that you're going to measure across every single time. So I hope this has helped. Remember that you can always get specifics from me in our intake appointment. So I'm always able to help you with measurements. Do a little round of it, jot down any questions that you have, and then we can take an exact measurement in the session if needs be. Remembering that as you're going around any part of the body, to use a mirror or a phone to make sure, see how that was a bit uneven there, making sure that it's even at the back, even at the front, measure around everything. Also know your measurements are just like your name. They're just like your age. They're just like anything. They're just a number, and they don't describe you as a person. And really, we're just using them so that we can work out the best nutrition for you. So get your tape out. If you've got one of these circular tapes, you can use that, and we're going to try and source some of these so that we can send them out in a little pack for people. and I just can't wait to get going on Metabolic Balance with you.